Resources and Development, Chapter 1, Geography. So we will see the line by line details of this lesson. Everything available in our environment. So what it is, like whatever it is available in our environment, if that satisfy the needs of us, then we can call it as a resources, right? What like what? Water, food, road, sunlight, house, whatever we are living in that house. So they are all called as a resources which is available in our environment and it satisfy our needs. Possibly they have given that has to be under three conditions. Any resources that has to be technologically accessible. That is what, using some techniques we can easily access that we need to search for it. For example, like we have used many technologies, like for example to make phones, internet, that can be now you are using for communication. Okay, so this is called as technologically accessible, right? What is economically feasible? Economically feasible means whatever may be the cost we are spending to extract, okay, that should be lesser. Okay, so like for example, if you're taking oil, iron ore, natural resources, so in order to extract all those things, we have to spend a lot of money, right? So that should not be there. And another one is like a culturally acceptable. Culturally acceptable is what? That is everybody, like for example, it should be considered in a community, that should be an appropriate, right? That should not cause any offense to the value of the society or norms of the society, right? So culturally accepted means, for example, in our India, the culturally accepted, we can say sari is culturally acceptable, or dhotis. Okay, so like I'm giving an example for culturally accepted, that is considered to be an appropriate one, right? So the definition of resources tells under three conditions. Okay, first, everything available in an environment to satisfy our needs, that is called as a resource. But under the conditions, it should be technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable. That everybody on the society has to be accepted, right? Okay, so this is the first thing. So now we can understand what is resources. So resources is everything around us, right? Minerals, fossil fuels, forest, soil, railways, park, house, land, human, fish, forest, solar, wind energy, what to say, another like everything, whatever it is, they are all called as resources. Now we can go for the next thing, right? Now we'll see the figure 1.1. What it tells us, in this figure 1.1, there is a relation between human beings interact with the nature, right? Human beings interact with the nature, human beings interact with the technology, human being interact with the institutions. So the human being considered to be the interdependent relations, right? We are the interdependent relations in order to bring the resources back, right? So we are having a relationship with the nature, technology, and institution, right? So nature means what we are seeing, the physical environment. Okay, technology is the technique what we are going to follow or what we are going to use to extract the resources. Institution means how, like school is an institution, any manufacturing industry is an institution, whatever maybe any company, any software company or whatever it may be, in order to making it in a full form, then that is called as an institutions, right? Okay, so next we will move to the another classifications. So the figure 1.1 explanation has been given here. So let me quote an example. For example, a human being is interacting with the nature. Example, forest, right? So where he can able to get a woods for furniture or building house, right? So nature is a forest, right? Technology, what is the technology here using? Here he is using some logging equipments, okay, to cut the trees, logging equipments, right? What is that institution? Institution helps like a mill or a company, okay, where the process and distribution or maybe complete the furniture where it is taking place from the wood, that is called as an institution. So that was given over here, okay. So human beings interact with the nature, and finally, and also with the help of a technology and interacting with the institutions, we are getting a full form of a resources, right? So next thing is, we will see there is resources are free of that is, it is a free gifts of nature. Is it true? That is the given in the second paragraph. Or the resources are free gifts of nature? No, actually, we are assuming as resources are free gifts, but actually they are not a free gifts at all, right? Resources is nothing but it is a function of a human activities, right? As I told you, if I want to get a table, right? So for that, the human activity is must. First, he has to take he has to interact with the nature, and he has to take the wood, and he has to interact with the technology for how to like a cutting the wood, and then institution he has to take the sawmill where the wood has been cut and make into furniture. Okay, so they are human activities are involved, are essential components of the resources, right? And they are not free gift. We should remember their resources, whatever we are obtaining is not a free gift, okay? So now we are taking the resources can be classified on the basis of 4 things, okay? So what and all? First is on the basis of origin, right? Origin means like it can be classified as biotic and abiotic. Okay, so on the basis of origin, for example, biotic means it can be a human or a fish or a forest, anything that related to a living being. Abiotic means non-living things, example rocks, minerals, like that, okay. Second type of classification is based on the exhaustibility, okay, that is presence. It has been classified as renewable and non-renewable. Renewable means that can be reproduced, renewed. We can renew it, right? It can be renewed. Example, what and all we can renew? See, we can renew easily the solar and wind energy. Okay, that is renewable. What is non-renewable? Once exhausted, it cannot be reproduced. Okay. So it will take millions and millions of years to reproduce. Okay. So such is called as non-renewable. Example, minerals, fossil fuels, right? So these are all coming under non-renewable. Third category is on the basis of ownership. For example, it has 3 things. Individual. 4 types. Individual. Example is if any resources that has been owned by the individual. For example, own house. If you are having own house, or if you are having own farmlands or land, that is that comes under the individual resources. Okay, and based on the community. Second classification under ownership is community. Community means park, playground, pond, all those things. Okay. Next is national. What is that national ownership? If having a railway lines connecting from Jammu to Kanyakumari, railway lines, road, all those things will be, and also we can say 22.2 kilometer ocean water from the coastal area. So they are all called as a national. What is an international ownership? That has been owned by all nations, right? United Nations does mean owned by all nations. What it is, if you are taking the ocean water example beyond 200 kilometer, so that will be comes under international ownership, right? The last classification based on the status of the development. Under that we have potential, developed stock and reserves. What is it potential? Potential is nothing but like enormous resources are there, but so far it is not developed properly, right? That is called as a potential resources. Due to lack of technology or lack of money, even though there is a resource, but that is not fully utilized or fully developed. If we take an example like in solar energy or enormous in Rajasthan and Gujarat, but full-fledged they have not yet used, right? Next, coming to the stock. What is its stock development? That is lack of technical. Okay, that is we don't have proper technology to extract the energy from the from that resource, right? That is like we cannot form that, make it. Example, if you are we do not know to use the hydrogen and oxygen as a source of energy. Okay, hydrogen and oxygen as a source of energy, we don't find any techniques. Reserves. Reserve stands for that is saved for future use. Okay, example, what it is for future use? If you are storing the water in the dam, right, or forest, they are all comes under the reserves which are stored for future use. So this is the classification of the resources, right? So now we will look into the figure 1. So this is the classification of the resources. So resources can be classified generally as natural resources and human resource. Okay. Under natural resource, we can classify it as renewable and non-renewable. Okay. So renewable is nothing but which can be easily reproduced. Okay. So that again can be classified as a continuous flow. Otherwise, it can also be classified as biological, right? So this biological again classified as forest as well as wildlife. Okay. Non-renewable, it can be classified as which is recyclable and non-recyclable. Okay. Humans, which is a main category, that can be classified as structure and institutions. Okay. And quantity and quality. So human structure and institutions means like government, laws, they are the example for structure and institutions. Quantity and quality of what? The humans, of people, right? Okay. So again we will see resources can be classified as natural and human resource. Okay. Under natural, we have renewable and non-renewable. We have seen examples also. What is renewable and non-renewable? Which can be renewed, and non-renewable is which cannot be reproduced immediately. It takes millions of years, right? Under non-renewable, we have recyclable and non-recyclable. Okay. So under renewable, we have a continuous or a flow of flow like wind and water. Another one classification is biological. Again, that further classified as natural vegetation and wildlife. So this is the classification of resources. Right. Next, we will see the heading development of resources. Okay. So what actually in this paragraph they are telling us? So resources are very important for our survival. Okay. And also to maintain the quality of our life, resources are very, very important. Okay. But what actually we are believing, the resources are we are getting from the nature. It is a free gifts of nature. But that is not true. Okay. By thinking like that, we human beings use the resource in an unfair way. Right? Because of this, it leads to a big enormous problems. What are all? Such as depletion of resources. Okay, depletion means what? The resources are now getting reduced. Okay. Second is, what is the second problem? Accumulation of resources. Okay, in few hands. Right? So only few people are holding those resources. What happened because of this? There is a segregation like rich and poor. In the society, there is a segregation because of accumulation of the resources in one particular hand. Next, what else? that is a critical exploitation, okay, that leads to global warming, ozone layer depletion, pollution, and land degradation. So these are all important problems because of what we are exploiting the resources, right? So global economical crisis, that is the third problem we are facing, right? Okay. Now, what actually they have told in this is an equitable distribution. What is it equitable? All people in a society have equal access to the resource regardless whether they are rich or poor. That is equitable distribution. Okay, that equitable distribution is very important in a society. Okay, if the present trend, what is that present trend? Like holding a few individual because of their greedy and because of their accumulation of the resources they are holding, right? If this same trend continues, the resource depletion will be sure, and this leads our planet in a danger. Okay, what to do now? So we have to plan. Okay, therefore resource planning is essential. For what? Why we have to plan? Yes, in order to have a sustainable existence of our life, that is sustainable development. Okay, in order to have a sustainable existence and sustainable development, we have to go for a planning. What is sustainable? Sustainable means we have to think our future. Okay, so we have to have a hand in hand with our previous generation past, and we have to hand in hand with the future. So in such a cases, if the present trend is going on and completely depleting the resources, future we don't have. Okay, so for that we have to plan accordingly. That gives you the sustainable existence and sustainable development. Now we will go to what is to understand clearly about the sustainable development. Okay, so in this we will see sustainable development, right? That is, the development should takes place. What is sustainable development? That should takes place without damaging the environment. Okay, and that should not compromise the needs of the future generations. Okay, so this is called a sustainable development. Okay, that is, the without any damage should not cause to the environment. Also, there is no compromise for the future generations is called a sustainable development, right? Before going into the resource planning, we have a summit, Earth Summit called as Rio de Janeiro, Earth Summit 1992. Now we will see what is this Earth Summit, right? We will just have a look into it. This Rio de Janeiro, right? This is a city in Brazil, right? Rio de Janeiro is a city in Brazil. More than 100 countries, okay, the leaders, they've all assembled in the year 1992, June. Why they have assembled? In order to make the first international Earth Summit, right? It is like a conference. Okay, now what was this summit convened? What for this one? Like they have called this, or they have arranged this summit to address the problems, very urgent problems, like environmental protections, to speak about or to think about environmental protections, and second is socio-economic development at global level. In order to speak about these two problems, the 100 leaders of the different countries, okay, 100 leaders of countries, they have assembled in the city called Brazil, right? Okay, they have signed declarations, okay, that is declarations on what? One is global climate change. Second one is biological diversity, right? Why actually they have signed global climate change? Why only these two particular? Global climate changes because of burning of fossil fuels, cutting down the trees. It affect us both in the by like a food, what we eat, water, air, weather, like. So because of all those things, they have signed a declaration, right? Global climate change. What is it? Biological diversity. That is, without a wide range of animals, plants, and humans, we cannot have a healthy ecosystems. Plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, everything that makes up the world, that puts up the world, entire, we all work together like a web. There should be some balance, right, and support of life. If that biodiversity, biological diversity is not there, we cannot able to get a clean air, food, water, and climate, right? So because of this, what happens? Pollution, climate change. So in all those things has been given by a single word called biological diversity. So now they have signed in a declaration on these two things, right? Okay, now what is this Agenda 21? And they have also adapted Agenda 21. That is, they were telling that we have to achieve, all the nations has to achieve a sustainable development, right? Sustainable development is what? The development without damaging the environment, and any compromise for the future generation should not be there. Okay, such a development is called as a sustainable development. So that has been given under the Agenda 21 in the to make a sustainable development in the 21st century. Now we will see what is this Agenda 21, right? It aims to guide, that is, three things. Okay, one is global level, national level, and local level. Okay, so it aims towards the sustainable development, right? So the aims of Agenda 21 is combat environmental damage. Combat means what? To prevent the damage, that is, to prevent the disease, to prevent the poverty, right? And also to have a development. Okay, starting from, there is a development starting from local and actually they were telling that there should be a global cooperation on common interest, mutual needs, right, and responsibilities. And also one more objective is that what we have told, that every local government, like starting from municipality, corporation, they should have their own local agenda. Then only we can able to able to stop pollution, and we can bring a biological diversity, and we can make a climate change, global level climate change, right? That has to be done from the local level. Okay, that's what the local level means, from the local government. Okay, next, what is resource planning? What do you understand by this word planning? That is, using the resources wisely and efficiently, okay, without by reducing waste, we can say like that. This is called as planning, resource planning. It is a very important strategy in like our country, India. It is a very important strategy. Why India is? Because India has an enormous diversity of resources available. Okay, so we have a rich resources in certain availability of resource. We are very rich, and in certain resources we are deficient in some other resource. Now we will see where we are rich and where we are deficient, right? So in certain regions also we are self-sufficient. Okay, so example, if you take Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, they are rich in minerals and coal deposits. Whereas Arunachal Pradesh, they have a abundance, lot of water resource, but infrastructure, they were very lack of infrastructure. And Rajasthan is provided, equipped with solar and wind energy, right? But there is a deficient in water resources. Okay, cold desert Ladakh, that is, it has a very rich cultural heritage, but there are a lot of deficient, like water, infrastructure, vital minerals, they are all deficient. Okay, now what to do? We need a balanced resource planning, that is starting from national, state, regional and local levels, right? Okay. Now how we are doing a resource planning in India? Okay, that we will see now. So that resource planning in India is done by 3 steps. Okay. The first step is identification and inventory of resources. Inventory means taking a detailed list. Okay. After identifying, we have to take a detailed list of the resources. How we have to do this is by surveying. Surveying means studying the opinion of people and taking the survey of what about the availability of resources. All those things involved. Okay. And then mapping exactly where the resources are available, like how much kilometer. That is called as a mapping. Okay, mapping. And then mapping. Okay, then we will see the another thing is qualitative. Qualitative means the characteristics of the resources. Quantitative means that estimating and measuring the resources, right, in numbers. This is the first, identifying an inventory, right? Second is planning structure. We have to make a planning structure with available technology and how skill here is either it is a human resource or whatever it may be, like it can come under the skill. And institutional setup, what about the factories or what about the manufacturing unit needed to implement the plan. Okay, so this is the second one. Third is the resource plan has to be matched with the national plan. Any nation, if you want to extract the resource, then that resource plan should be one of the nation's plan. Then only we can able to make the planning structure correctly. Yes, in India we have done it in correct way. Example, first 5-year plan itself, in the first 5-year plan itself, we made a resource planning. Okay, that is immediately after the independence, first 5-year plan. In that we have made a achieving the goals of resource planning. We have planned already, right? So this is an example. So the national plan and the resource plan, that has to be mapped, right? Okay, next what it tells here is the availability of resources is very important for any development of in any particular region or any particular state. If any state has to develop, definitely we need an availability of resources. Okay, mainly there should be an availability of water, availability of transport, everything. Then only that area will develop. Okay, so that what they have meant in this paragraph. Okay, if you want to develop any region, then there should be a particular development in the resources, there should be a particular development in the technology, and the institution also has to develop in order to take or extract the resources. Okay, that's what they have given in this paragraph. Okay, so in controversy, if you were talking about the controversy, there are a poor source, right? There is a poor source, but they are economically developed. In certain regions they don't have a source, but they are economically well developed. But there are a few regions where there is a rich in resource, but they are economically backward. So in India we have a group of regions like this. Okay, so this paragraph, what actually here mean is the colonization reveals exactly the how much we are rich in having our resources, right? So this only because of resources, rich in resources, that has been attracted by the foreign invaders, and that's what we have been under many colonizations, and especially the British has been ruling us, right? So they identified, yes, in India as having a huge resource. Exactly, they have identified, but not only the identification is important, right? What else is important? Technology is very important. They have their technology and they have started institutions. Because of that, they have extracted all the resources and they exploited many regions in our country. Okay, so these colonies exactly reveals us that how we are rich in resources. So in order to make completely, if you want to take the resource, we need all those the involvement. Okay, first, not only the availability of resources will not help, but we need a technology, and we need a skill, and we need a institution, and we need a experience of the people, right? Altogether we need a, in order to extract the resources. Next, very important topic called conservation of resources. Conservation means what? How we are managing. Okay, this is a very valuable one, right? Resources is a very valuable one. How we are managing, okay, carefully how we are managing is called as conservation, right? Resources, as we all know, for it is a very important for the development of a region, state, or any country. Okay, so irrational consumption, without even thinking what has happened, simply we are consuming a lot of resources. Like example, using a water, we are wasting so much of water, right? That, like that. So enormous, we are, without even thinking, irrational consumption and over utilization, it leads to socio-economic and environmental problems. So I think, you hope we remember these two problem has been already addressed as an urgent problem in the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit. They have told these two problems. Okay, these two problems has to overcome. How? By conserving the resources at various levels. Okay, for that many leaders, thinkers, they were all talking about these things in the past itself, from the past. For example, if you take Gandhi, he has given his voice in conserving the resources as it is. There is enough for everybody's need, okay, and not for anybody's greed. Okay, how a very interesting quote. So we have, for every human beings, we are having resources are there, but that is not meant for greediness. Okay, that is not meant for selfishness. Okay, so this selfish and greedy individual only exploiting the complete nature with the help of the modern technology, right? So this is the main depletion of the resource at the global level. Okay, and he also quoted, he was against the mass production. What is it, mass production? Large scale production with the help of machineries. So he was against that, right? As we know, he promoted the use of charkha. Charkha is nothing but the spinning wheel, okay, for producing the cloth. He believed that everyone should participate in the production and sustainable economy. Like we should produce our own cloth, right, in order to giving it in a factory, large scale. He don't interest in the mass production. He always likes having a small scale production, and that mass production wants to be replaced with it production by the masses, that is people have to employed, like people ourselves has to employ in producing the resources or producing the cloth. So he was very much interested in the small scale industries, right? Okay, and in this paragraph it has given a very important efforts, 4 international efforts under they have taken in order to make how the conservation of resources has been done, right? There is a 4 important thing. The first thing what actually they were telling us, an international level, the Club of Rome, okay, the Club of Rome advocated the resource conservation for the first time in a systematic way in 1968. So they have done a systematic way, okay, conserving the resources. It is an organization. Club of Rome is nothing but it is an organization which completely focus on the critical discussion, okay, of global issues, like including the conservation of resource, sustainable development. For that, they have made a systematic way in 1968, right? In 1974, okay, Sumachir, he was he was an economist. Okay, he wrote in his book, "Small is Beautiful." He has drawn the inspiration from Gandhian philosophy. As we know that always wants small economy, small scale industries rather than a large scale for a sustainable development. So he has presented in his book Small is Beautiful by inspiring the Gandhian principle. Right? The next third contribution is given by seminal contribution. Seminal is nothing but it is a high influential for future development. Highly influential for future development. What is a highly influential? Resource conservation, right? Okay, for that they have made a report. That report is called as the Prudent Land Commission report. Okay, in 1987 they have made a report. In that they have introduced the two things. One is sustainable development and measures to resource conservation. Those two things only we have seen from the long back, right? Sustainable development, very important word, and resource conservation. Okay, in that commission report also they have emphasized, they have advocated these two important points, right? And the same thing has also been published in a book called Our Common Future. At last, fourth important concept is, that's what we have seen in the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, that is in Brazil 1992 we have seen. Okay, and one more thing I have to emphasize is, if you take this Agenda 21, one important thing is the conference name, right? So in that 1992 Earth Summit, that is a conference. That conference is UNCED, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. Okay, that took place in Brazil. Okay. Now coming back to this land resources. Land resources, actually land itself a resource. Okay, it is a natural resource and it is a very important resource where it supports vegetation, wildlife, human life, and all economic activities, communication, transports, everything it supports, right? So if we take this figure 1.3 in India, so this is the land under important relief feature. That is, the physical characteristics of a region can be divided into three things. The physical characteristics itself, a plain, a mountain, and a plateau. 43% is plain, 30% for mountain, and 27% for plateau. So this is the relief features of our India, right? So now we will see the next thing. So that's what they have emphasized in this paragraph, right? So 43% of land plains means that has been used for agriculture as well as non-agricultural activities like industries, buildings, all those things. Mountain is 30%, that includes rivers and that provides the facilities for tourism and ecological aspects. Ecological means many living things are living there. Okay, it helps in ecological aspects. Okay. 27% is for plateau, where you will be finding the very rich reserves of resources like minerals, fossil fuels, forest, all those things, right? Next, we will see very important topic called land utilization. What is that land utilization means? The land resources are used for or utilized for very important 5 categories. Okay, the first category is forest. Right? The second category is land not available for cultivation. Not available for cultivation is divided into 2 categories. One is barren and wasteland. So not available for cultivation means what? That land cannot be used for cultivation. Such a land can be classified as barren and wasteland, that is unproductive land. Second is not available for cultivation means they have used for buildings, constructing roads, factories, so those cannot be cultivated, right? So this is the second category. Third is other uncultivated land excluding fallow land, right? So other uncultivated land. Now after understanding what is fallow land, we know what is here excluding fallow land. Okay, so we will see now other uncultivated land. Uncultivated land, some lands we have given for pastures and grazing. Okay, and some where the tree small tree groups, okay, groups of trees, that is called as grooves. Tree crop grooves are sown in such a cases, that land where you have a bunch of trees are there, so that are all uncultivated land. We are not also included in the that net zone area, okay. So that is simply uncultivated land, okay. Another one is culturable waste land. Culturable waste land means that it can be suitable for agriculture, but currently we are not utilizing it due to any of the reasons, like maybe economy or proper techniques or whatever it may be, okay. So this culturable waste land is come under if we are not using such a land for more than 5 agricultural years. What is this agricultural years means? That is June end to July 1st, right? June end to July 1st is the one agricultural year. If you are not using the land for more than 5 agricultural years, then that will be come under the culturable waste land. Fourth category is fallow land. This is left uncultivated for a period just to improve the quality of the soil. That is called as fallow land. Okay, for one season they have kept unused the land in order to make the soil improve, the quality improve. Okay, so that they are called as a current fallow land other than current fallow land. Okay, if it is a current fallow land means if it is a less than 1 year, if you are leaving the land without cultivation, current fallow land. Other than current fallow means 1 to 5 years. Okay, if you are leaving the land for 1 to 5 years uncultivated, then this is called as other than fallow land. More than 5 years will come under culturable waste land, right? The last category is how much area is under cultivation. That is called as net zone area, right? That is harvested, the crops are harvested. Next is gross cropped area. Gross cropped area, it is the combination of the net sown area and also the area sown more than once in an agricultural year, right? Area sown more than once means there may be some areas which has been left out and they are sowing for like more than once in an agricultural year. Like they will be doing it in such a case, so that area also will be come under the total cropped area. Okay, next, land use pattern. So this land use pattern, this gives you the it is determined, the use of the land is determined by 2 factors. One is a physical factor, another one is a human factor. Physical factor means based on the features, climate, soils, right. Human is based on the population, technology available, culture, traditions, right? So now we will see the pattern, right? So this is the figure 1.4 where we have obtained from the that is the Ministry of Agriculture in the year 2017, right? So these 2 figures, what actually tells is the general use of land categories, right? It is the first one is the picturization for 60 to 61, 1960 to 61. The second category for 2014 to 2015, the use of the land pattern they have given over here. Okay, the first is forest, right? The forest area, both here, this is 45.26, here is also 45.5. There is only a very okay, this 45.26 and 45.5 is not forest, it is coming under a net zone area, right? So there is a small change or smaller confusion. Now we will start from the forest. First is forest. So the forest here is, this is 18.11 percentage, and whereas in the 2015 to this is, and for 2014 to 15 this is 23.3 percentage. The forest, whatever here to here, there is an improvement in the forest, okay, but usually the forest area in the country, if you see here in this paragraph, they have given, what actually they have given is the forest, what in our country whatever we are using is lower than the desired. The desired, according to our geographical area, 33% should be for forest area. This was has been outlined in the national forest policy. Okay, then only we can maintain the ecological balance, and many livelihoods of peoples are also depending on they were living on the fringes, that is the borders of the forest. They were all depending on this forest. There should be a 33 percentage, but that whatever here what we are seeing is not 33 percentage, it is a very less. See, here it is 18 and here it is only 23 percentage. Okay, right. Next is barren and unculturable wasteland. Here it is 12 percentage. So the same here it is reduced to 5.5 percentage. Right? What is it? Barren and unculturable wasteland means it is a wasteland. It is unproductive land. Now that has been they have reduced in 2014-15 to 5.5 percentage. Third is area under non-agricultural use. Non-agricultural use means laying road, railways, buildings. That is in previous 1960 to 61 it is 4.95 percentage, whereas in 2014-15 it has been increased. It shows that we have been increased in our infrastructure, 8.7%. Okay. Next is permanent pasture and grazing land. Here it is 4.71 percentage. In 2014-15 it has been reduced. Okay, that pasturing land has been reduced. Right. Next is area under miscellaneous tree crops and groves. Right, that is 1.5 percentage. Here is also same 1 percentage. That is not very big change. Okay. Next is culturable wasteland. We have seen what is culturable wasteland. Currently that is agricultural wasteland, but has been not used for more than 5 years. That has been 6.23 percentage in 60 to 67, whereas it has been reduced in 2014 to 15. It is 4 percentage. Right. Next is fallow. Fallow other than current fallow. Okay, fallow land is, what is a fallow other than the current fallow? Fallow means it is left cultivated to improve the quality. Right. So 3.5 percentage. Here is 3.6 percentage. Okay, more or less same. Current fallow. What is it? A current fallow means it has been uncultivated for lesser than one agricultural year. Right, that is the current fallow. This is 3.73%. Here it is 4.9%. It has been increased. Next is net zone area. In both the cases it is more or less same. Here it is 45.26. Here it is 45.5% net zone area. Now we will see in detail what actually this map tells us. Right. So the total geographical area in India is 3.28 million square kilometer. Right. The land use data, whatever we are using the land, okay, it is only 93% of the total geographical area. Right. 7% has not been surveyed it. That is except Assam, the northeast states has not been fully surveyed, and some areas in Jammu and Kashmir occupied by Pakistan and China have not also been surveyed. Right. Coming to this, as we told, the pasturing land currently it has been reduced. Okay, so that was they have told over here. And other than the current fallow land, either a poor quality and the cost of cultivations of such land is very high. Okay, hence these lands are cultivated in about once or twice in about 2 to 3 years. If we are including those lands also in net zone area, then this will no longer 45%. It will be put into 54%. That like that they are reporting it. Okay. Right. So if you are coming to that net zone area 45%, that it is geographically it is varying from one area to another. Example, if you take a Punjab and Haryana, in their total area 80% of the area they have been using for agricultural purpose. Whereas in Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Manipur, Andaman, Nicobar Islands, only 10% of their geographical area has been used for cultivation. Right. Okay. So this is what we have seen in now. That is forest area actually should be 33%, but what we are seeing here is 23.3% only, which is very, very less. Okay, so this has been outlined in the National Forest Policy 33% in the year 1952. Why actually this forest area should be more? Mainly to maintain ecological balance and livelihood of many millions of people who live in the borders of this forest, right? Okay, so next, now we will move into what is actually they have given here is the apart from the land which is termed as a wasteland, there are also some land have been used for non-agricultural purposes. So the land may be rocky, or it may be low water content or desert areas. Okay, so that in such a cases and many other non-agricultural area has been also utilized for settlements and roads, railways. Okay, and continuous use of this land, if you are continuously using, a very important topic now we are going to introduce, that is, if we are continuously using the land for long period of time without taking any measures to improve the soil quality or land quality, then there is a problem called degradation. Degradation means productivity is reduced. From that particular land, you cannot take the good production. Okay, why? Because of continuously you are using. So what happened? The nutrition is going on reducing. We are not taking any measures to improve it, right? Then that will give you a serious repercussions on our society as well as environment. Now we are going to see land degradation and conservation measures. Just now we have seen what is degradation. Productivity loss is called as degradation. Okay, right. Coming to the land degradation and conservation measures, okay, 95% of our basic needs, like what? Food, shelter, clothing, we are obtaining from the land, right? Human activities have completely brought the degradation of the land. Okay, not only the human activity, right? The natural force is also causing some damage to the land, right? So the degradation of the land has done by two important factors. One is human activity, another one is natural forces. Okay, so what is a human activity? Human activity is deforestation, overgrazing, mining and quarrying, right? And also over irrigation. Over irrigation will also leads to the degradation. Okay, now we will see one by one. Mining, what happens if you are completely extracting the mining? If you are digging, what happens? That will give a scars, deep scars, and that will overburden the land. Okay, such work has been taking place in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. Okay, right. Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, also responsible for deforestation due to mining. Okay, so they are digging the forest areas. So there is two things. One is deforestation is also taking place and severe land degradation. Right? There is two responsibilities simultaneously because of mining activities. Right? And coming to the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, overgrazing. Okay, because of that land has been productivity has been reduced. Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, what happened? Irrigation, over irrigation. What happened to the over irrigation? Water logging. Very important word, water logging. Water logging means all the time you are supplying the water to the soil. This leads to the soil content will have more salt, and alkalinity of the soil will also increase. This will leads to the degradation, right? What is salt and alkalinity in the soil will be more if you are over and over you are irrigating the land. Okay, and there is also mineral processing like grinding the limestone, which has been used for cement industry, right? Calcite and a soapstone, that is for ceramic industry. Okay, what happened? Huge dust it is spreading. Okay, if you are grinding the limestone for cement industry, calcite and soapstone for ceramic industry, this gives the huge dust. What happened? This infiltrates the water. Okay, when it settles down on the land, this infiltrates the water, right? Because it forms like a lime, it completely lime and all, it will completely forms like a big a big thing, and it completely avoids, that is a process of infiltration, it stops, right? And also the another major important problem is the industrial waste is a very important problem in the land. It is polluting the land as well as the environment as well as the water pollution in many parts of our country, right? Now we will look into the conservation. So whatever we are so far we have seen is the degradation, right? Now what is the conservation measures? There are many ways to solve the problem of land degradation, right? That is, first is afforestation, planting more trees and creating more, extending the area of the forest. As we told, we are very lagging and we should be 33%. So, afforestation. And grazing has to be properly managed, right? And planting the shelter belts of plants, right? Shelter and control over grazing. Shelter belts has to be planted, and grazing has to be controlled, and stabilization of sand dunes, like placing or growing bushes. Okay, so there are all some methods. Stabilization of sand dunes, this is mainly we are doing it in arid regions, right? In order to go for a land degradations. See, actually in arid regions it has to be made thorny bushes, growing thorny bushes. And management of wasteland, controlling the mining activities, proper discharge and disposal of the industrial waste, and making a treatment after whatever may be, the waste has to be treated properly. Okay, so these are all can be done in order to make a land to be a stabilized one. Okay, so this is a conservation of land. Next is soil as a resource. So now we move to the very important topic, soil as a resource. Okay, so this figure 1.5 tells you the clear pictures about the soil. Okay, this is a soil profile where we have, this is a top soil or the upper soil. Usually this top soil, the upper soil will be eroded or washed away due to rain or due to floods or due to heavy wind. This we will be calling it as soil erosion. Okay, why it is called a soil erosion means most of the nutrients is also washed away, right? Next layer is subsoil, weathered rocks, sand, silt and clay. There is a combination of like sandy, it will be silty as well as clayey, right? The third is the parent rock material. Okay, you will be having a rock material. Then here will be, it is an unweathered parent rock. Okay, this is a weathered parent rock. This is the unweathered parent rock. Okay, so there will be a 4 categories of the soil profile. Okay, now we will see here. What is the soil over here? Is soil as a natural renewable resources, right? It is a medium, we know it is a medium of a plant growth, tree growth, everything. Different types of living organisms it supports on the earth, and it is typically, soil itself is a living system. It takes a millions of years to form a soil, okay, up to a few centimeter in depth. It takes a millions of years, okay, right. Relief, parent rock, bedrock, climate, vegetation, other forms of life, time, they are all important factors in forming the soil. Okay, what are all the factors are important? That is, what are all the factors responsible for forming the soil? Relief. Relief is, as we told, it is a geographical characteristics of the land. It may be a slope, it may be a plain, different altitudes. Okay, rock. The soil is mainly formed from the rock, okay, that is bedrock, and due to the climate, that is called as weathering, okay, and vegetation, okay, and other forms, time of lifetime, they are all responsible in making up the soil. Okay, various forces is also very responsible, like natural forces, such a way the temperature, running water, wind and glaciers. Okay, glaciers is nothing but something called iceberg. Okay, and activities of decomposers. They are all responsible to contribute the formation of soil. Okay, one is what we have seen, the another one is called as a natural force. And there also be chemical organic changes which takes place in the soil, that is very equally important. Okay, that is, soil consists of it consists of organic humus and inorganic materials, right? Okay, organic materials, it is nothing but carbon based one that is derived from the living organisms, right? Whereas inorganic materials is non carbon based, that is derived from non living sources like minerals, metals, like that, right? Okay, so now we, on the basis of the factors responsible for soil formation, color, thickness, texture, age, chemical, physical properties are also responsible for to classification of soils. Okay, so these are all the factors for classifying the soil. Now there is a 5 types of soils. There is a 6 types of soils. We are going to see one by one. One is, first is called as alluvial soil. See, this is the soil, usually it is produced or formed due to the formed from the river valleys. Main responsible is river valleys, either from the river or by the flood. Such a soil is formed. Okay, so this soil is widely spread and most important soil. Okay, and it is available in the northern plains. Okay, northern plains, mainly due to the Himalayan rivers like Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Also it extends, the soil is also extends in a thin corridor, that is extends to the Gujarat and Rajasthan, and is also available in the eastern part of our country because of the rivers like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, right? Coming to the characteristics of the soil, this has a mixture of sand, silt and clay. It consists of the 3 mixtures. Okay, as we move towards the coast, as we move away from the coast, if you are moving towards the inland, okay, moving away from the coast, what actually we see, the soil particles are bigger in size, the coarse, that's something, it's a bigger. And also we move to the place where there is a break of slope, there is also the soil is a bigger in size, right? Such soils you can see common in the Piedmont plains. What is that called, Piedmont? Piedmont is nothing but immediately when after the mountain, the edge of the mountain, there is a small, there will be a small plains, that is called as Piedmont plains. What is a Piedmont means? Low lying land at the foot of a mountain, that is called as Piedmont. Okay, a land at the foot of a mountain. So in such a Piedmont plains like Durars, Chas and Tirai, where you can see it in Himalayas. They are found it in Himalayas. Okay, right. Apart from their size, we can also describe based on their age. We have 2 things. One is called as Bangar and Khadar. Okay, Bangar is old alluvial soil, whereas a Khadar is a new alluvial soil. Okay, Bangar will be having a concentration of kankar. Kankar is nothing but pebbles, right? This figure 1.6 shows the alluvial soil, right? So we see, previously we have seen a higher concentration of kankar. Kankar is, that is a pebbles, right? Compared to the khadar. Khadar is a more fine particles and it is more fertile than Bangar. Okay, so this Khadar and Bangar, sometimes they may ask in the we should know the difference, right? So Bangar and Khadar. So Bangar is a less fertile, Khadar is a more fertile, and Khadar is a new alluvial, Bangar is a old alluvial. Okay, Bangar is having a concentration of pebbles, whereas Khadar is having a fine particles, right? Okay, and Khadar is more fertile. Okay, coming to the alluvial as a whole is a very fertile. Okay, most of the soil, it has a proportions of chemical particles or chemical materials like potash, phosphoric acid and lime. which has been suitable for the growth of sugarcane, right? And also paddy, pulses, and wheat, cereals, right? Due to the high fertility, maximum cultivation will be happening over here, and lots of people will be accumulated there. Okay, in there where in there is a river regions, cultivation is very vast, also very done in maximum and densely populated. Coming to the drier areas, like where less rainfall, there the soil will be more alkaline in nature, and that has to be made productive by proper irrigation and proper neutralizing treatment method. Okay, coming to the black soil. This is the picture 1.7. It shows the black soil. This soil is mainly formed by volcanic eruption. This soil is black in color, known as rigor soil. This is ideally grow mainly suitable for cotton. So sometimes it is called as cotton soil, right? It is believed that the climatic condition along with the weathering of volcanic rock, okay, that is the parent rock. It is an important formation of black soil, weathering of the parent rock, okay. This type of soil is typically available in the Deccan Plateau region. The Deccan Plateau region is otherwise called as Deccan Trap is called as a basalt. Okay, whereas this is spread over north-west Deccan Plateau, and they are all made up of lava. Okay, so this is made up of lava. They cover the plateaus. There will be also this Deccan Plateau, right? It is available in Deccan Plateau, we told, Maharashtra, Saurashtra, Malwa, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and extend to the southeast direction along Godavari and Krishna valleys also, right? So sometimes we have to remember these state names, and we know Deccan Plateau means Deccan Plateau. You should remember from where to where it starts. Coming down over here, the soil, it is of clayey material. Okay, it is well known. Clayey means it is very well known to hold moisture. This is a very important feature of the soil. Okay, so it can able to hold the lot of water content, and it has a very rich nutrition such a way like calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash and lime, whereas it has a very low phosphorus. Okay, very low phosphorus content. Okay, also they develop a deep cracks during the hot weather condition. Okay, that helps the proper aeration to the soil. Okay, these soils are very sticky, as we told. It is a clay and it is having a lot of water content. Also it is a sticky when wet and difficult to work on unless it is tilled immediately. It has to be tilled immediately after the first shower or during the pre-monsoon period. Otherwise it is very difficult to work in that particular soil. Next come to the red and yellow soil. This develops again from the crystalline igneous rock. Crystalline igneous, it is mainly formed from the cooling and solid of molten lava. Again there is a volcanic eruption, and that because of that this rock formed. In the areas of low rainfall, eastern and southern parts of Deccan Plateau, yellow and red soils are found in parts like Odisha, Chhattisgarh, and some parts in Ganga Plain also, and along the Piedmont zone on the western Ghats. Okay, what is Piedmont? It is nothing but the foothills of the mountain. There is a plain. Okay, fine. These soils develop a red color. When it is develop a red color, when it is in diffusion of iron in crystalline. Okay, because of the diffusion of iron in crystalline, it develops a red color, and when it hydrated, the water reacts with the iron and it makes the soil to be yellow color. Okay, coming to the laterite soil. This has been derived from the Latin word later. Later is nothing but a brick. Okay, usually this is available in the tropical and subtropical climate. This soil, see, this is very interesting soil. Due to the season, already dry and wet season, subtropical, under subtropical and tropical, you can find these soils. and the soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain. What is the meaning for intense leaching? Intense leaching means downward, okay, that is downward movement of water and dissolved substances through the soil, okay, through the soil. This leads to the nutrient loss. First, when the water is continuously moving downward towards the earth, what happen? The nutrients present in the topsoil get lost, and it also takes away the harmful chemicals. Because of that, groundwater get spoiled, okay. So that is called as intense leaching. This soil is the result of intense leaching due to heavy rain, okay. Lateritic soils are mostly deep to very deep, and they are acidic. Acidic is less than 6 pH value. Alkaline is, that is different pH value. Generally deficient in plant nutrients. Because of this, there is a deficient in plant nutrients, as we told, because of intense leaching. Normally there is a possibility of nutrients taken away, okay. So Western Ghats, southern states, Maharashtra, Odisha, and some parts of West Bengal, northeastern states, you can see such a soil, right. And they are also supports deciduous and evergreen forest, where it is rich in humus. See, we have told there is a less nutrient. Here it is rich in humus, as it is called as deciduous. Deciduous forest means what? Where the leaves will be shed annually. Because of that, you will be getting a humus. Humus is, it is what we have seen, it is an organic material, right? It is derived from the organic material, right? Okay, deciduous and evergreen forest. Evergreen means that is, it will retain the leaves year around, right? Okay, but due to some sparse vegetation, see, this is the figure where you can see the laterite soil. You can see this is called as a laterite soil. Here we can find the vegetation is scattered, okay. It is in semi-arid environment where the humus is poor. They are also prone to degradation and erosion, okay, because of the landscape, okay. And after adopting a proper soil conservation techniques in the hilly areas like Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, this soil, they are useful for tea and coffee plantation. And then in the red laterite soils in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Kerala, more suitable for making the crops like cashew nuts, right? Coming to the arid soils. Arid soils range from red to brown in color. They are generally sandy in structure and they are salty in nature. The salt content is very high and the common salt is obtained by evaporating the water. And due to the dry climate, the temperature is also very high. Evaporation will become very fast. And what happened? The soil will be lacks the humus and moisture because of the dry weather. The lower horizons of the soil are occupied by canker. Canker is pebbles. So because of increasing the calcium content downward, what happened? It restricts again the infiltration of water. So after proper irrigation, okay, this can be used for cultivation. Like that, there is a case in Rajasthan. You can see this type of soil is available in Rajasthan. This is called as arid soil, right? Coming to the forest soil, these soils are found in hilly and mountainous areas where sufficient rain forests are available. The texture is depending upon the environment, the textures will be changing. They will be loomy and they will be silty sometimes in valley sides. They will be coarse grained in the upper slopes. Okay, coming to the snow areas of Himalayas, these soils experience tenuation. Tenuation is nothing but erosion and weathering, okay. Tenudation and are acidic with low humus content. The soils are also in the lower parts, found in the lower parts of the valley, like it also having along with the alluvial soils where it is fertile. Such soils are called as a forest soil. Now we will have a look in the map. So this map clearly tells you the major soil types, right? So this is first is a forest soil and forest and mountain soils you can see available over here. Then alluvial soil, you can see the alluvial soils in the northern plains and somewhere in the here is also in the eastern sides also. And then red and yellow soil you can see over here in the plateaus, okay, and you can see the black soils available over here, right? And then you can find the laterite soils over here in these regions. Laterite soils you can found over here, that is in the Western Ghats, and arid soils you can find only in the Rajasthan, okay. So next important topic is soil erosion and soil conservation. The denudation of the soil washing down subsequently makes the soil erosion, okay. So the upper part of the soil will be usually washed away, okay, right. The process of soil formation and the eroding of the soil, they will be both balancing one, okay, but sometimes that balance is get disturbed due to two factors. One factor is due to human, another one factor is due to the natural force. Human is such a way like deforestation, overgrazing, mining, quarrying. Because of all those things that gets disturbed. Whereas natural forces like because of due to wind, glacier, overflow of water, that leads to soil erosion. Right? Okay, now we'll understand what is gullies. That is, when the running water flows, there will be a deep cut, right, through the clayey soil. That is called as gullies. That is called as a gully erosion. We can see in this picture 1.11, right? This is called as a gully, where you can see there is a deep cut. Okay, so this deep cut is due to the flow of, again, that is due to the flow, that is a flow of the running water. Okay, this makes the deep channel. This is called as gully erosion. Okay, next, the land becomes unfit for cultivation, right? The land becomes unfit for the cultivation. That is known as bad land. Okay, we can also see such a lands are available in the Chambal basin, that is called as ravines. Okay, sometimes water flows as a sheet over a large areas down a slope. Okay, when the water is flowing like a sheet over a large area down the slope. Now we are talking about a slopey region where the water is flowing slope. Okay, in such a cases the top soil is washed away. Then that is called as sheet erosion. When the water is washed away in a slope, okay, the top soil is washed away, that is called as a sheet erosion. Due to the wind, okay, the loose soil gets moved off in a sloping land, then that is called as wind erosion. Soil erosion is caused also because of the defective methods of ploughing. In a slope, if you are doing it in up and downwards, what happen? When we are doing in the slope, if you are doing the ploughing in the up and downwards, then there will be a quick flow of water in the slope, right, leading to the soil erosion. So in such a cases, in the slope, we have to go for a ploughing in such a way called as a contour lines, along the contour lines, right? Contour lines that makes the accelerate the water down the slopes. So we will be calling it as a two important thing, that is contour lines, right? So now we will see that. So we can see here, if you take a hilly areas or a mountain regions like this, instead of ploughing like this up and down movement, where you will be getting a like a ridges and furrows, where there is a makes soil erosion more possible. In such a cases, we have to go for a like a ploughing in the contour lines, along having the same altitude. You are making a lines like this and this are the same altitude height. You are making a forming an area of here where you can make a ploughing done over here, right? Instead of like this, you have to go with a contour. Contour is nothing but with the same altitude. This point and this point has the same altitude. Then here you are making a ploughing. This point and this point the same height, here you are making a ploughing. Okay, so this you can see here in this picture. So this is called as a contour ploughing. Okay, instead of making here, you are going to do it over here. Coming to the terraces, Terrace in the hills, like what actually you are doing is you are making a stepwise, okay. Because of this, the soil erosion can be reduced, okay, and we can conserve it. And the next thing is called as a strip forming. Strip forming is nothing but the large fields, okay, the large fields, you are dividing the large fields into a small strips, and you are growing the grass between these in these strips, right? Okay, between the crops, here you are growing the crops, and where you are making a strip wise and planting the grass. This helps in the breaking the wind, okay, force of the wind to break down, in order to avoid the soil erosion. So these two for soil erosion due to wind. Another, last, we have seen the shelter belts. Shelter belts is nothing but, as we have seen previously also, in the like where it is in a desert areas or arid areas, we have to make a stabilization of sand dunes by making a shelter belts. You, in this, you are making a rows of trees has to be planted to create a shelter along the edges of the field. This helps in reducing or controlling the force of the wind, and this helps in reducing the complete soil erosion. So this all comes under the conservation of this. So conservation of the soil by four methods. One is, that is, we have are doing in a contour ploughing, and then terrace forming, and then strip grasses, okay, and then last is shelter belts. Thank you.